Hello, 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 my friends. My name is Travis Lincoln Cox. I'm here to grab things off the top shelf for you and to introduce you to today's episode of the Stormchaser Improv Podcast Show, the podcast by improv nerds like us, for improv nerds like you. We are here to talk improv, art, and creativity. In today's episode, we're back with more Gametape, because, the only thing better than surviving an improv show that, maybe wasn't your best is watching it back with your friends and then talking about it in front of millions of listeners. In this episode, Pish, Anatasha, and I review our show from July 28th at the Shakeydown Shakedown. We talk about quickly switching from producers to performers, the importance of treating your scene partners like a genius, and we discuss ways to allow more joy into our play. As a reminder, Anatasha is still living her dreams as a performer in the Utah Shakespeare Festival, so she was not in the show. But she is in this show, the show being the podcast. So she didn't play with us live, but she is here. She is here with us on the podcast talking about the show, even though she wasn't in the show. But she is in.
You're listening to the Stormchaser Improv Podcast Show.
God damn it, guys. I found the perfect stackable drawers that pull out for my closet, but they're an inch too big for the shelves.
Son of a bitch.
An inch.
Damn it.
An inch.
What can be done?
Nothing. And nothing is like them.
An inch is all it takes.
God damn. Tell me about it.
What are you talking about?
What's this podcast about again?
Oh my gosh. Okay, we're jumping in. We're talking Gametape. This is about a show on July 28th. Our suggestion was Dinosaurs. Shout out Meg. Thank you. Who wants to start us off?
I think the two of you should talk a little bit about how you felt about the show before I ask any questions.
Okay, well, I want to set the stage a little bit in that Travis and I have been putting a lot of work into the show. Producing it is taking a lot of time and a lot of attention.
A lot of mental bandwidth.
A lot of mental bandwidth is taken up by doing that. Whereas normally in our entire careers, we're able to just kind of show up and perform. We showed up 2 hours early to the theater, and the majority of that time, we're setting up stuff. And we're talking to people, making sure they understood our plans. So when it got to game time, I didn't quite feel ready to I didn't feel like my playfulness was there, and I don't feel like my joy was quite there. I felt too serious about everything, which I think you can get away with seriousness in production. You don't necessarily have to have joy bubbling underneath your skin to produce a show, but you do to have maybe a successful or as a more successful improv show.
I'd agree with that. I might put it a different way. Like, for when you're wearing the producer hats, like we have been, a lot of head is involved. A lot of brain is involved. We're making logical decisions. We're trying to think of what's going to look the best, what's going to go the smoothest, what's going to be the best experience for our audience. We're using our brain and our head, and we're thinking a lot. But then when you want to get on and you want to do a show, at least the way I like to play, I try to turn that part of my brain off, or at least turn the volume down on it a lot. And it's tricky to make that transition. I think we're both getting used to it.
That's very insightful and very self-aware about your state, I think, which in and of itself is great, because a lot of people would be like, I just didn't feel good. It didn't feel good. But instead you're like, oh, I didn't feel in flow because my producer hat was on. And so I'm thinking logistics, and that can be very stressful when you're the captain of a ship in that way. So that's very self-aware. And that's the first step to recovery.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think one thing that we could talk about as a group really quickly is like, if there's any economical warm-ups that don't take a lot of time, but really put you in your body instead of in your head. So like something that's short, so that when you only have 2 minutes before a show, you can be like with each other and then in your body. I don't know what those are for you. Like something that you're like, this is always fun and I always like it.
Honestly, probably some version of like uninterrupted eye contact without words.
Something simple.
Even coming up with like 3-line scene starts as an exercise, it gets me too much into this inventive mode and it becomes just another task that I have to check off. And I feel like I need to get out of the task checking off mode and I need to get into the being present and grounded with this real life person that's standing next to me, you know?
Yeah, almost like a shared meditation where we just look at each other and breathe. I think would have been, because we had that like little bit of time where the curtains were closed and we were like getting ready to go on. If we had just like looked at each other and breathed for like, even if it was like 30 seconds, I feel like we would have both been in a much better space.
That's something that I always loved about when Kendra and I were playing as Stormchaser, but just the two of us. The warm-up we would always do was just looking at each other. Like we wouldn't ever do anything else. We just always do like what we did with Jet in rehearsals, which is just like, I'm going to look at you and open my dumb mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'll drop you in pretty quick. I'd also like to see from you guys like a shared yoga stretch, like a couple's acrobatic. You know what I'm talking about?
Like a tantric position, like something.
Something like a tantric stretching, like shared where you're touching each other a lot, and I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I like that.
Don't bring tantra into this, okay?
We're just trying to make the show better, Andrew.
Pish, I'm married now, okay? The world of sex is blown wide open. I like that I unzipped my jacket when I said that. I was like, sexy Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, you gotta Venmo us if you gotta subscribe to our OnlyFans if you want to see the video of this podcast.
Or you could go to our YouTube page. Either way.
Pish takes off his shirt in every show.
Not this one.
Not this one, though. Which I have to say was a disappointment for me.
I don't take off my shirt ever. That's not a choice I make, but other people make it for me.
I really let everyone down this time. I'm sorry, everyone. That's my number one note. Didn't take Pish's shirt off.
Travis told me before the show, he said, I'm going to try not to take your shirt off this show. And I said, thank you very much.
Do you know what I really said, Tosh?
That.
I was like, it's starting to become like, do you remember when Anatasha was like, going into the audience every show, because at first it was scary and so fun that it was like really scary, and then you did it, and then it was so fun that you kept doing it, and then it was like, oh, you just kept doing it.
Yeah, and then eventually I was like, I can't go into the audience during the show because it's just become every show.
Yeah, so I feel like Undressing Pish has kind of reached that stage for me. I need to take a break. It'll be back, but I just need to take a break.
Again, the self-awareness is incredible. Okay, any other thoughts?
I have a lot of specific thoughts, but we can get to those later.
I think, the conversation that we had about the language of a show and bringing in a layman who's never seen improv, like your friend from work is like, hey, I'm coming to see your show, or somebody just sees your ad and it's like, I want to go see some comedy. They show up to your show. And I think that the dance that you're doing is one way to be like, hey, what you're about to see is silly and it's chasing fun. So we've taught them something about the show they're seeing. But one thing I'd like to talk about is just if there's a way to intro the show, even in words, that's specific enough that someone could come off the street and be like, I know what I'm about to see. Like Improvised Shakespeare says, and if you're wondering what's about to happen, so are we. That's they have a little phrase they always say.
Oh, that's cool.
So something like that. And then the other thing too is if there'd be a benefit in having the consistency of form, or I love the fluidity of the form. So I don't know if that's the right word, but that might bring you back, bring you down to the ground when your producer hat's on and you're like, oh my gosh, wait, there's like the things to rely on. And I don't know, maybe there's not an answer to that, but those were my thoughts about the show.
I like that a lot. That's definitely worth spending some time thinking about for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I know a thing that we were doing when we were being coached and when we were together more often and able to just have conversations instead of, I feel like a lot of the majority of the time that Travis and I are together are just honestly talking about production stuff and different things about getting stuff done. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I feel like maybe I've been missing a little bit of that like artistic inspiration. It's like you produce, and then you come out, and it's like the form of the show kind of relies on where you are in life in a lot of ways and what kind of work you've been putting in. And so it's almost like the improv becomes mechanical when the inspiration of my life has been kind of mechanical recently.
What if once a week or even once a month, but I think once a week would be more successful, we all text each other like something that's like sparking us. So it could be like a poem or a painting or a video or a TED Talk or just like something that you're like, I'm really vibing on this and it's inspiring me. And perhaps that would connect us in that way that when you get on stage, you're like, oh, we're all vibing on the same thing. Like, of course, our show's going to like kind of, those things will appear.
I'm into it. That's a great idea.
If you can't hang out.
No, that's a great idea.
Yep.
Guys, and I think I'm an improv doctor. And I'm not even referring to your show. Just, I was thinking about this as a coach and I was like, sometimes I feel like it's just easier for me to see and know on the outside than when it's me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure.
And maybe that's just true for everyone, but sometimes I'm just like, I think I could be an improv doctor to other people.
Well, that's something to think about, I guess. Anatasha.
Let's get.
Yeah. Do you think
get you a website? Let's get you some business cards.
Yep.
If you guys are on an improv team, you need
improv MD.
You need to be diagnosed, and then do you like diagnose the problem, and then you prescribe them like a treatment? Well, I'd like to prescribe preventative treatments. Oh, interesting.
So I have more of an Eastern philosophy.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
like
Travis, if she's an improv doctor, what are you?
Oh no.
The improv what?
I'm the improv counselor / cheerleader.
Nice.
Oh, okay. I like it. So you're the mascot.
Sure. Yeah.
I think you're like the improv youth pastor.
That's great, actually. That's so much better.
Improv youth pastor.
Because listen, yes. I think I have good ideas. I think I can help you, but I'm not gonna approach it with any sense of authority or leadership. I'm gonna just approach it from like, let's just work on it together. It'll be great.
And then what about you, Pish?
Oh man, I mean, I could really say so many things. I think
Master Reverend Guru.
Yeah, I am an ordained Master Reverend Guru, so.
What does that mean in the improv world?
No, what would it be? It would be like improv
hippie.
Improv hippie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, it'd just be like, come on, man. It's not that hard. Let's do it. It's all about having a good time. Don't harsh the vibe, friends.
Exactly. Don't harsh the vibe. And then you get the youth pastor being like, you have it all within you and you can do it. And then me being like, you're sick.
Oh, that's fun. That's a fun game. Do we want to go over the show specifically a little bit?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I watched the show back like the day after, and I was still in a pretty like, I gotta be honest, I left that show being like, we played like hot garbage. And then I watched it and I made Whitney watch it, and it was like, oh, it wasn't that bad. It was a fun show. But I watched it back sort of still like in that space. So I took a ton of notes. It wasn't that what we did was like bad or wrong, but I just saw so many like moves we could have made, or so many things I could have done that would have just been more fun. And that's really what it's all about, right? So the first scene to me was one of the more fun scenes. We were like archaeologists. We found the space. Pish started beating me up, and it ended with like throwing me into the pit. Brett! Don't throw me into the pit! Brett! No! Brett! Don't throw me into the pit! Brett! No, sacrifice me. To be straight. No, you're not going. No. I thought that was really fun. I wish, I don't know, the way we got out of that going into the thing and like I just got very like in my head being like the theater teacher and like making Pish do it again, just felt all very contrived. It didn't feel organic, didn't feel in flow. And as I watched it back, I'm like, man, there's so many more fun, creative things we could have done. I could have continued the fall and started a new scene in the bottom of the pit, like fell off the stage and kept the scream going. Or I could have done that later in the show as a callback. There are just so many like fun moves that we had set up and we just didn't make them.
Yeah. And it's interesting though, because the onus, it really isn't on you not being in flow, because I think a lot about improv, which is beautiful about improv, is that your flow is dependent on the people around you. And that's why it's important. And it's lucky that we had mentors that emphasized loving each other and being really open and honest with each other. Because in the show, I know that I was feeling very hesitant. And so, if Travis, if you say, all right, now try that in an Irish accent, I can play at my character not liking it. But me, the performer, should be like, oh yeah, here's this new thing. I can have fun with this. But in that moment, I remember feeling like, oh, I don't like being pimped into doing a different accent. And I was just like, oh no. And I struggled with it.
What I want to see from you is that exact same scene, word for word if you can, right? But let's see it with like, if it was like set in Ireland in the 1920s. You like what I mean? No, don't talk back to me. Let's just do it, okay? And action.
And so little moments of hesitation like that, I feel like can so easily throw you off this like joyful improv flow, that we've experienced many times before.
Sure.
So what do you... Oh, sorry, Travis, go ahead.
That goes back to like the improv 101 rule, which is like treat your partner like they're geniuses.
Yes.
And it works. It really makes a huge difference if we just jump on the thing.
Absolutely.
If you're in the middle of a show and you're like, I feel that I'm in my head, I feel clunky or whatever, judgment you're having about the moment, do you have any tricks or tips or thoughts on flipping that around and just letting that go and being able to like almost take in the next scene anew or the next moment anew?
I mean, that's the beauty of improv, right? There's like a million things you can do as long as you can just like get out of your brain. I mean, one of the things I wrote down is like, we could have just edited out of that scene so quick. But I really think that one of the main keys is like to turn off your judgment and turn up your play. No matter where you find yourself, if you start to enjoy it, the audience will enjoy it with you. And I think Pish and I were both like, I don't know and I don't think either of us enjoyed where we landed.
I remember specifically a 2-person show I had with Jess Euler. And it was a cage match show. And so we were performing at Iowa West. And I just remember, I don't know, the first part of our set felt so forced. And we weren't getting almost any laughs. And I was like, I hate this. In my head, I was just like, what we're doing is not working. And I just remember giving up. And then I remember we started a new scene. And I just started miming that I was stacking logs on a fire. And I just kept going back and I kept getting more logs and kept putting it on the fire. And there was something, I think, in my surrendered energy that the audience started to laugh. And I was like, they're laughing at me doing nothing. But there was this moment where I just was like, I let go. Like I stopped trying to make them laugh. So I feel like in those moments where you try too hard, and you see this with young improvisers a lot, they get really, they're trying to force the laughs. And we've seen that a lot, and we've been there a lot. And it's like you can't do anything right when you're in that space almost. It's like the harder you try, the worse it gets.
Wow, surrender. That's That's such a good lesson for me to hear right now. I love that.
Yeah. It makes me think too of a recent clown rehearsal I went to with Jet. I haven't done a ton of clown, so any chance I get to learn a new trick from clown, I love it. And in the rehearsal she talked about with clown, when you try a bit and it doesn't work, you have to like honestly acknowledge that it didn't work. And like you just sort of own that you crashed, and the audience will love you for it, you know? And we did a version of that, honestly, in the show when I just like horribly botched my accents and kept switching back and forth. And Pish, when you called me out on it, it forced me to like just sit in it for a minute. I even like looked at the audience and like shook my head and was like, I don't know what I'm doing here.
You can sleep outside. Wait, hold on. You can sleep outside. There it is. Sleep outside. Is someone think about what you done. Is someone else in there? Who was that? Let me in! Let me in! I'll kill him! You have a secret lover! I knew it! Just tell him about me, baby. I'll rip him apart! Keep your mouth shut, alright? Don't say anything. Oh, come on, I bet I can take him. And he sounds like a little guy. No, he is pretty short, but he's feisty, you know what I mean? No, it is exactly why I don't cut my fingernails!
And the audience like instantly forgave me for it. And that might have been the biggest laugh of the show, honestly. It was you calling me out.
It's such a blessing that playing with a mistake can give you such like rich gold to chase after.
Yeah.
It's like all of a sudden it's like, oh God, we got a vein that we can get some oxygen from. Just how many metaphors can I string together right now? Oxygen, gold, 2, it seems like.
2's pretty good. 2's the current record. Tosh, how many metaphors can you string together?
It's like finding a lucky penny or 1.
Okay, well.
What if I told you I just did that to make you look good?
Wow. Whoa, you are an improv doctor.
That's bullshit. Man.
Partner,
I think you're lying.
partner.
What's something you liked about our show, Tosh? Was there anything?
Nothing. You're both huge babies. You weren't even handsome. It was shocking.
Wow. That's unnecessary. That was hurtful.
I thought that you did a great job of utilizing, I know you said missed edits and opportunities and whatever, but I think that you did a good job of utilizing the stage and utilizing edits to spit you into something new. And also of like breaking and contracting space. That's something that's nice. I almost feel like is almost never missing is the coming of together and the moving apart.
Yeah. I will say when I went back, I was like cutting together like a highlight reel for like the whole Shakeytown hour and a half or whatever. And I was like, oh, in little clips, like we made fun stage pictures and we were very physical with each other and we used the space a lot. And that's something that I think is a strength of ours and is nice to remind myself that like, oh, that's fun. I think one of my favorite edits was we both went out the door together and then instantly came back in it with a different energy.
Where are you going? Come with me! All right. Hey, no, let me in! Hey, just stay out there, you hear me?
Okay, yeah, that's a fun moment. Like that's kind of a fun injection of energy.
Yeah, 100%. That's a really big strength. And most improv is just like people like standing 3 feet apart and like kind of talking to each other. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it is like a lot of work on your brain. And I think that getting in your body can really help with flow and playfulness and entertaining the audience, truthfully.
And if an improviser is listening to this and hasn't thought about the stage picture that their body is presenting to the audience, don't just get caught in a talking head scene. Just think about how many rich flavors there are of which to play on the stage.
Yeah, don't be a freaking baby. Babies can't walk.
Baby.
Babies can't walk. They're so freaking dumb.
Yeah, they're so move around the stage, you little baby. Sorry, I just clearly miss Jet right now because I feel like she would call us babies in the most loving way ever. That would make me know that I wasn't doing my best work, but made me still feel loved.
Yeah.
And so I like to call myself, I'm like, when I miss her, I'm just like, little baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to learn with Anatasha that when she insults you, it's actually a lot of love behind it.
Yeah. Right?
I mean,
Right?
I don't,
Wait, right?
Right?
Anatasha?
I mean, I almost never insult Jesse Kubine. So, like, I don't know.
It's because if you're mean to Jesse, I feel like that could potentially like disrupt all of our happiness.
It would be. I can't imagine it. Andrew, what about you? Do you have any moments that you feel like there's a lesson to be learned or even just like something we did right?
Yeah, I had the same reaction post show. I was just like, it wasn't necessarily, I didn't feel super confident in it. I was like, wasn't our strongest. But in watching it back, we were patient. I really don't think we were trying too hard, which can be the problem sometimes. I think that patience led us to some scenes on the back half of the show that had high stakes, that had fun scene stage pictures, that came together more easily than maybe the clunky beginning did. There's a lesson to be learned in that. We had this kind of like shaky start, and then we kind of found our footing and were able to find moments that really work still because we just trusted the process of it.
Yeah.
As the improv doctor, my prescription for you also would just be like, just go do another one. It doesn't matter that much. If you were like, I didn't feel in flow, I was like, okay.
No.
Sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens.
No,
Just
exactly.
Go do another show.
Yep.
Everybody stick around. We're going to do another improv show. We really need it, so it'll be free. Just stay where you are. Actually, the doors
Nobody
are
leave.
locked. You can't leave.
Okay, yeah. Zip.
Zap. Well, I don't know how much we need to talk about this show. I feel like, we got through it. I think, Tasha, you're exactly right. It's time to move on to the next one.
What's bringing you joy in your life right now? Pish, what is that? What's behind your right shoulder?
The banjo?
No. Like more on the window.
Oh, on the window? This is a fan. It was a fan.
Oh, that's boring. That's boring. Does the banjo spark joy or?
Yeah, the banjo sparks joy. It was a gift from my dad a while ago.
Is it 4 or 5 strings?
It's a 5-string banjo, which is the most common type of banjo.
Correct. My dad plays a 4-string banjo.
Does he really?
And people are always like, wait, what? And it sounds different. And it's like so specific.
Wow.
Hey, Pish, how about to take us home on this podcast? Play us a little riff on the old banjo.
Say yes, podcast, improv podcast, improv, yes and podcast. The improv, yes and podcast.
Let me just tune it up real quick. Let's see.
No, just play. It doesn't even have to sound pretty.
Okay, give me a sec.
All right, improvise a song for us.
My dad's really good, actually.
Is he really?
Mm-hmm.
Look at Pish's sweatshirt. It's so cool.
I know it looks really good in his cool light, too.
Yeah, it does. If you're listening to the podcast, you got to go subscribe to our YouTube page so you can see Pish's sweatshirt.
This is the reason to get a Patreon. I want to hide this amazing video until we have a Patreon because people should pay for this.
Nice. That's sounding really nice.
Between the sweater and the shorts, like this is incredible.
This is high quality content.
Okay, so this one's called The Wheatgrass Tango. Oh. Nope, that's definitely out of tune.
Hold on. Are there lyrics?
Oh, the wheatgrass in the southern part of Maine, it grows so tall in June. Oh, the wheatgrass grows in the southern part of Maine, grows so tall in June. Thank you very much. That's been.
I don't know how
That's
to
the
tell
podcast.
you this, Pish, but this is better than any improv we've ever done.
Words cannot describe how much I love those beautiful humans. And listen, I know we say thanks for listening after every episode, but we genuinely mean it. This community of artists that we're a part of is truly one of the most important parts of our lives, and we are glad you're in it. Please connect with us on the socials if you haven't already. We're on Instagram and TikTok at Stormchaser Improv. Please connect with us on the socials if you haven't already. We're on Instagram and TikTok at Stormchaser Improv. Check out our YouTube page for loads of free content, including full shows and the video version of this podcast. And if you are in LA, Los Angeles, California, please come see us at the Shakeydown Shakedown live every fourth Thursday at the Pack Theater at 9 p.m. Tickets are available on our Instagram page or the description of this episode. Now get out of here. Go chase a storm.
Thank you for listening to the Stormchaser Improv Podcast Show.